Welcome to the Seed Creative Podcast, the podcast where we discuss both video production and just life in general. The goal of this podcast is the same as the goal of our business, to make a difference in people's lives. Hello, this is George Edmondson, and welcome back to yet another incredible, entertaining Seed Creative Podcast. So today we have Nick Golden.
What's up?
And Nicholas Coker.
Hey there. It's still confusing.
So we have determined that we call Nick Golden Nick.
Yep.
And we call it Nicholas Coker Nicholas or Coker.
But never Nicholas Coker or Coker Nicholas for that.
But we do say Nick Golden quite often.
We do. Because it sounds like it's a name for radio.
Nick Golden.
It's a face for radio.
Oh, my name is Nick Golden. So today we thought that we would branch out just a little bit from the video world and talk about music.
Music. Because we finally have somebody else that appreciates music, because Jacob and Gavin just frankly do not understand. Adam understands, but
Adam gets it. And Jacob, I mean, can kind of play drums.
He can?
Yeah.
Oh, right. He played, right. He was a snare drummer.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. But he's out of touch now.
He just listens to like rap, hip hop stuff that you would find in South Florida.
Yeah, Jacob is already 60.
Or East Germany. That's what Jacob listens to.
Yeah, that's Jacob.
This is getting off on a weird foot. Okay.
Does the new podcast get off on a normal foot?
No, it doesn't, because we're not normal.
Yeah.
We kind of just make this crap up as we go.
No, we don't. We've been playing this for months.
I just hit my head on the brick wall.
Nice.
All right. So Nick Golden came to me with this idea, I mean, probably a good 15 minutes ago. and it was like, hey, we have one idea for the next podcast we're going to film, but for this one, we're trying to think, and he was like, oh, why don't we talk about music? Because Nick Golden is a musician.
It's true.
And Nicholas Coker is a musician, and I used to be a musician.
He played the drums like 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, That's true. So why don't you tell our listeners and or viewers, why should we talk about music in this week's podcast?
Well, because first of all, I think it has influenced all of us very much. You wouldn't be where you are without your band. I wouldn't have ever done any sort of video or anything ever without band. We can get into that a little bit. And I think, I don't know, how has music influenced you, Coker?
Well, I'll be as bold to say, if I ran a school with a film program, I would require a music class as part of the curriculum.
Wow.
Because I don't think you can be a good editor without having a good understanding of music. I think that's
100%.
how we're all good editors, is you have that sense of rhythm.
Oh, we actually brought you here to talk about how you're a bad editor. No, I'm just kidding.
We wanted to put you on the spot.
Yeah. This is actually live.
Yeah. Coker, you're out.
Oh, no.
Anyway, well, I 100% agree with that. You can just tell when you watch a movie that's like, a lower budget movie or something, and like their editor or somebody just does not understand music.
Yeah.
It ruins the whole experience. It really does. And I definitely think that all of us understanding that really helps, especially when you're picking music. That's the most.
Yeah.
We can get into that too. Like when you're picking music for a video, first of all, hardest thing in my opinion.
I will butt in here and go ahead and fully declare that selecting music especially as a corporate video production company, selecting music is by far the hardest and sometimes the most time-consuming aspect of getting into the creation of the video. Now, obviously, once you select the music, of course, editing is going to take longer, but I guess finding the final piece of the puzzle to start putting the puzzle together that is the music, and that is typically the hardest. Now, every now and then, we might find a piece of music and say, we're going to film for this music, but it's very rare. Typically, we're filming, and then we find the music to fit what we have filmed, and that can take a long time.
Yeah, I can't even really think of an example of when we've done that. Could you, like, we've picked it ahead of time?
Sure. So I picked the M synthwave music before we actually filmed, so I knew kind of the way that it was going to feel and flow. But that's probably the most recent, and that was motionvfx.com is our biggest client. We do typically 4 or so videos a month for them. And so there's going to be a lot of M talk when we talk about just videos, now and in the future, because we just do so many videos for them. But yeah, M Synthwave was a kind of an 80s inspired plugin that they created. And I had found that music once I learned about M Synthwave. And I was like, this is it. Like, this is the song we're going to use. And so, but I mean, that's really the latest one that we've done that for.
Yeah, I mean, and it's so hard, man. That is the part I almost dread it. Like, I don't. I love all things about editing, but I'm so specific being a musician that, man, like you'll find the first 30 seconds, you're like, oh yeah, this song is perfect. And then it like builds into this just like terrible middle phrase or like bridge or something.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And then you're like, no. And that happens every time. I mean, what? How many different songs do you think you listen to on average to pick one for a video? 50? 30?
Yeah. I mean, and of course it depends on the client, and it depends on what the budget is. I mean, I'm going to just be, completely transparent here. When a client comes to us with a small budget, we have to be able to use that terminology that we've talked about before in other podcasts, which is done is better than perfect. So you just got to get it done. I mean, you and I, I'm pointing at Coker for those that can't see, but Coker and I have been working on a series of videos that he and Gavin really have been working on more, but he kind of showed me like 3 or 4 songs, and I was like, just go with that one. That's it, because it's a high quantity product. And obviously we want to do a good job, but we also have to be good stewards of our time. And so it depends. Now, when a client is very specific, like Motion VFX, and we know M Synthwave, for example, is going to be a song that like really pushes this video edit, I'm going to listen a lot more,
right?
Because it's that much more important. Music and audio are always extremely important because they help set the tone behind the action, behind what's going on. I've actually talked about this before, and as a matter of fact, one of the things that I talked about in the conference that I spoke in, where I met Jacob's then girlfriend, and then she said, hey, my boyfriend is into video, and that's how I met Jacob. I specifically talked about how music can set edits apart and take boring B-roll and make it fun. And I showed about 30 seconds of B-roll with just natural sound, stuff I shot on my phone. It was me like going to Disney World with my family, and it was like, oh my God, this is so boring, because it's just me sitting in a bus, and then me getting off the bus, and then me putting a stroller up, and really just random shots. But then I put music in, and it cut on the beat, and that's kind of what we were talking about earlier, and it makes that 30 seconds feel like 5 seconds, because you're like invested in it, and you're like, oh, this music is pushing the edit along.
Right.
And so, yeah, obviously, we spend a lot of time selecting music, but it also is absolutely dictated. Everything we do is dictated at the end of the day by either budget or passion. Well, it's one of the two.
And also, I mean, volume is always a consideration too of videos. Like if there's going to be 10 videos, like if a client, if we pick a video for their logo intro, that's going to become their video, their song. So that's really important. I mean, you could even mention the podcast. We spent 2 hours probably picking a song, because we knew what we wanted, but it took a while. And luckily Artlist is like amazing. That's what we use for music. But also a lot of people use it too. And you'll see commercials all the time and it'll be like, well, this song is super notable for this truck commercial. So we can't use this song that we also found on Artlist for, you know, a hospital. Like, you know, like you'll know someone else will recognize it.
What's funny, I think it was Carvana. I saw a Carvana commercial the other day, and they were actually using a song that we had used for this documentary that we made. And the documentary, it won an Emmy, actually.
It
did? Yeah. And so I got it in. I got it in
Nice.
quick. That was
Yeah.
early. But
We should
yeah,
just
it
start the
absolutely,
next episode.
it absolutely. Like, I think it was Carvana, and I was like, "Dadgummit, that's our song.
That's our song.
We found it first, Carvana."
Is it? I thought it was Carvana.
It's definitely Carvana.
Carvana. That's yeah.
I see what you thought.
I like to
van.
say
Carvan.
Carvan.
Carvana.
Carvan.
Carvana.
Yeah, I think it's
But it's
Carvana.
Vanna White.
But it's like Nirvana.
Well, it's a play on Nirvana, yeah.
oh.
I'm surprised you didn't catch that,
That
Mr.
was
Rock and
good.
Roll.
I know who Nirvana is.
Well, anyway, let's talk a little bit more now that we've talked about how it works in business. Let's talk about how it influenced all of us a little more.
Coke or Go.
Coke or Go. Tell me about the first time like music spoke to you that you can remember.
The first time music spoke to me.
Yeah, like when did you realize
We're
that you
getting
were a
real
musician?
deep.
You were a musician at heart. Like when did it like get you?
I think, I grew up with music in the home. My dad was a piano player.
Cool.
Or is a piano player. He's not dead. But we had a piano. It was a really old, clunky, upright piano that we had for many years. I just remember him playing it all the time when I was growing up. And I remember what I would do a lot before I learned how to play was I'd look at his music books that he had in there, and I'd find ones that had songs that I knew. If it was like a Christmas Carol book or a Disney songs music book, and I would just pull it out and I'd just sing to the music. I didn't exactly know what I was seeing on the staff there,
Right.
but I would just kind of sing the melody that I knew. And I grew up with it a lot in the home. And then when I was about 9 years old, I learned how to play the piano, or I started learning. And like I said, I can't really remember a time without music. So that's the biggest influence I would say for me is just having it as a part of the home. My mom was a musician as well. She was a singer, and she would sing as well. And I remember for Christmas, we would always be singing carols and everything. So like I said, it was a big part of my home life. So it was hard to separate from my character. And I remember when I, first started getting into movies and films, the way I got into those was getting into the Spielberg classics and the George Lucas Star Wars scene. And of course, those just have, I would say it's cinema's finest soundtracks. And so it's easy to fall in love with those because of the soundtrack alone.
Yeah. Are any of your parents? I don't know what they do. Are they professional musicians at all?
They both have played in bands, professionally or for money, I guess you'd say. It's,
Yeah.
Just kind of a little side hustle.
Cool. That's awesome. Yeah, I totally get. So I relate to your story. It's pretty similar actually. So my dad is a band director, or sort of was. He's like semi-retired now. And it was just something about always every Friday night, Saturday night of my entire like fall every single year was going to marching band contests with my dad and watching my dad's band. And I just became invested at such a young age of just like, I don't know. I've always been very competitive as a person. So I always wanted his band to win. I would sit as a kid, like when I was like 7 and write notes about stuff and give it to him. Like, hey, this person messed up. Like, I didn't know what it was, but I was like becoming obsessed with it basically. My dad's entire family are musicians. He toured with they had like a family gospel group that toured when he was a kid. So like all of this is just surrounding me my entire life. And for the longest time, I actually thought I wanted to be a band director like my dad. And then I saw how hard it was, and not hard as in I wasn't willing to do the work, but I just saw like it's not that he talked me out of it, but he was just showing me like it takes a toll on you because it's just such a intensive. I mean, my dad was working like 50 hours over the weekend, like every weekend. And that, anyway, just it kind of steered me towards my other and what was my stronger passion of video, and combining all of this together and appreciating movies, like you're saying, is kind of what brought me to love both of it. So I couldn't exist without the band and the music in me, but also this like video world combined, and it's pretty sweet.
So my dad was a musician.
Yeah.
And then, so that's, all of us were obviously
Shout out
influenced.
to the dads.
Yeah.
We were all influenced by our parents. My mom, not a musician, terrible singer. I mean, just the absolute trash, like the worst.
Can I just cut this and we can send it directly to
She'll know. It's like a joke between us. But what's funny about my mom is, even though from a talent perspective of someone who can or cannot sing, my mom does sing, and she sings loud, and she doesn't care who hears her. So I wanted to bring that up, because my dad was a very talented musician. He played guitar, bass, drums. He was in bands. He was in like worship bands and stuff, on and off. And then my mom was, very involved in the church and everything. And she would just lift her hands and sing as loud as she could and didn't care who saw it. So music was a big part of my life. What's funny is I got to a point where my brother, who is also a musician, and my dad would do nothing but play music. That's all they would do. They were obsessed. And I was like younger, and I was like, music's fine, whatever. But I was like, come play kickball with me. Come like outside. And they're like, no, we're playing guitar. We're doing this. And so I declared that I hated all music. And I would never listen to music or play music as long as I live, because music takes my dad and my brother away, and they just spend time together. And, I'm a little kid.
How old were you when this happened? Ish.
Like 4 or 5. I mean, but I remember it. Like, I very specifically remember I had made that decision. Music sucks. I hate all music. And then as I got older, I'm like, music's kind of cool. And I start listening to music. And then my brother is like doing these cool things, like playing in a worship band. And then I'm like, told I can sing. Apparently, I would just sing, and people would be like, wow, you have a good voice. And so because of my mom being like, so you can do it, baby, and you can sing as loud as you want, I had like tons of confidence, too much confidence, to be honest. But I started to just like sing in like the little youth band at church and stuff. And then the drummer left the church band because he went to go play like in a real band. And I was like, drums are cool. Like, I'm going to sit down. And I just sat down and just started playing drums. And it wasn't like, I didn't even have to really think about it. So I would fully consider myself a drummer. Like, that is what I do. When people ask me, I say, I can play guitar. I can play a little piano. I could sing. As I've gained weight, that gets harder and harder for some reason. I think it's my breathing. But then I am a drummer. That is who I am. I am a video person. I am a husband. I am a father. I am a drummer. I am a skateboarder, even though I don't skate as much as I used to. Like, those are parts of me that literally, like, when someone's like, who are you? Like, that's who I am.
Right.
Is I am a drummer. I am a video person. I am a husband. I am a father. I am a skateboarder. And that's it. Like, that's who I am. So, I did get the opportunity to start playing drums in the worship band, and my brother actually worked at the thrift store at the time. And of course, he's over the moon that I'm starting to get into music because he's obsessed with music. And my brother actually bought me my first drum set from the thrift store where he worked. Cool. It was a Sensonics brand. It's basically a Walmart brand.
I never heard of that.
Yeah, it's a terrible, terrible brand. But that's what I learned on, was like this crappy Walmart brand drum set. It did not come with a drum throne. It did not come with a snare stand. I don't think it even actually came with a snare drum. It was just the toms and the kick drum, and like a pedal and a crappy hi-hat stand with some like 10 hi-hats. They were awful. But so I learned on toms with no snare drum at first. And then I saved up enough money and I bought a snare drum. Well, I didn't have a snare stand, so I used a laundry basket. So I put the snare drum in the laundry basket where it would like go down in there and sit, because obviously you can't sit it on anything, because if you know anything about drums, snares are these little metal pieces on the bottom of the drum, and that's what gives it its crack and rattle sound. So if those snares are muted by anything, if you sit them on a table or on a pillow or whatever, it's going to sound like a dead tom. It's not going to sound like a snare. So I was like, how am I going to do this? So I found a laundry basket that worked. So, and then I just kind of slowly, like all my money out of nowhere that I would work, do chores, whatever, just started going to drums. And I'm like, what the crap? Like I have no money, but I've got this
Cool drum.
cool drum set.
Yeah.
I've got this cymbal that I just bought, whatever. And then I don't want to dominate the whole podcast, but I did get the opportunity I played and played and played. And then I joined this band, and originally I was going to be like the singer for this band. And when I was at the tryouts, the drummer could not play a certain beat that this band wanted him to play. And I sat down and was like, here, this is how you do it. And I watched all their faces look at each other. I was like, oh, crap. That night, they were like, hey, we kicked this guy out. Will you be our drummer instead of our singer? I was like, oh, man. And I was like, yes, on one condition. Can I play drums and sing? And they're like, yeah, we don't care. So I joined that band, and then that band turned into... I became a professional drummer. I mean, that started to be what I actually did. So we were a metal hardcore band, and that is what it sounds like, screaming and lots of double kick pedal and hollering about, the world is bad and, stuff like that. And we ended up doing a bit of touring. We got signed to a European record label called Candlelight Records. We got to tour in Europe with a band called Sixth, and a band that if you're into metal and hardcore, you will know they're called Architects, and they were our opening group on the tour. So it was Architects would open for us, and then we would open for Sixth, and then Sixth was like the headliner of the tour. And what's funny is people that are listening that know this, Architects are freaking huge now, like bigger than Sixth and us. And so it was really weird to know, like, we were there and they were opening, and every night we were like, dude, they're way better than we are. Like, they're so much better than us. But yeah, that was a absolutely once in a lifetime experience, especially then, because this is like MySpace is really popular, but like this is before you can easily upload music videos and upload, YouTube is around, but like hardly anyone can actually do anything with it. There's no mobile internet. I mean, honestly, this is like we had Blackberries, and you could kind of get on the internet, but it was all text. Like no images would show up, no video, no music, nothing. So it was a different world then. So weird. I feel like an old man. But it was like right at the beginning of when bands could fully build an audience online, and that's what we did. We were able to build a pretty big MySpace audience, and then Candlelight Records, when we sent our demo, the first thing they did was went to our MySpace page, and we had like 600,000 followers or something like that. And before we were signed, and they were like, oh, like they're going to move records. They're going to sell CDs, And so they signed us, and the rest is history.
We'll have to do a whole nother episode on.
Oh, dude, I've got stories. Oh my God,
I've heard some pretty great ones that I can think of off the top of my head. So we'll do that at some point. But yeah, I mean, and then you got interested in video or like new stuff about video production because of both that and skateboarding. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I guess I can wrap that story up with our final tour. Our final show when we did the European tour was in London. And I had just gotten married. My wife flew over for our final show in London. We were going to we did stay in London for a few days, which there's amazing stories related to all that. We'll tell that another time.
And we're in this meeting with the owner of the record label, the PR person, the tour manager, all these people. And they tell us that the next tour that they have booked for us is with Metallica. And
What?
we are like, no way. And they're like, no, for real. Like, this is why we wanted to meet with you and all this stuff. But I felt in my soul and in my gut. I've shared this before, but I'm a Christian. And there were just things that I witnessed on that tour that, you know, as a Christian, we can be in this world, but obviously not of this world, is what I believe. And I was starting to even appear as though I was of this world, even though I wasn't. I didn't do anything bad on tour or whatever, but other people were. And it was enough to raise concern to where I said, I have to separate myself. Even though they just told us I'm going to go on tour with Metallica in a few months, I stood up and I said, I've prayed about it. I've talked with my wife, and I felt like this was the perfect opportunity to let all of you know in the room that I'm leaving the band.
That must have been really hard.
Dude, it was terrifying, but like I mean, this is going to turn somewhat spiritual podcast, but this is who I am. And so I don't, you know, whatever. But like, I really fully believe like God was speaking through me in that moment, because I would not have been able to do it. I wouldn't have had the courage or the strength. I had lots of conversations with my wife about this, and it was just the right thing to do. And so anyway, I quit, and they're like, no way. Like, are you serious? And they're like coming at me like after the meeting, and they're like, what can we do to change your mind? Like all this kind of stuff, the tour people. And I just said, look, I'm not leaving y'all just high and dry. I will commit to the rest of the shows we have booked. We had more shows back in, you know, America, North America. I will train my replacement and have him ready to play drums so that when I leave, it will be a done deal. We will book a final show where George is leaving. I will leave on good terms, and we did all of that. And they did, you know, they played for a little while after that, but they eventually, you know, broke up as a band. But yeah, it was very difficult to do, but I'm glad I did it. Obviously, yeah. I got to experience that. A goal of mine was to be in a band and tour and be on a record label. And I did all that. And then it was like, okay, done is better than perfect, right? I did it. It wasn't perfect, and I'm not going to continue, but I'm going to leave. And then the rest is kind of history. I did a skateboarding thing, and, you know, I was into video, I was into music editing and all that stuff. So without that journey, I don't think I would have ever honestly started Seed Creative. Yeah. Because one, I would have just stayed in the band, and, you know, it would have just been what it is, and you're just in a metal band for the rest of your life. Or I wouldn't have been pushed into the world of like digital recording in general.
True.
You know what I mean? Because I was exposed to those things, and I was like, I could do that. I could figure that out. I was watching the guys use the jib on our music video, and I'm like, I had no idea what it was, but I was like behind there with them, like watching them, and I didn't even realize I'm watching what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life.
That's crazy.
This is kind of cool, you know? And so, but yeah, that's kind of...
I totally relate to this, kind of like what I was alluding to earlier, but like choosing to give up something. And it wasn't for the same reason, but I relate to choosing to give up something because, you know, I knew that when I chose not to, and I chose this like middle of high school, like I knew early on, but I knew that not choosing to major in music was going to lead to a point to where I couldn't do marching band anymore. And this is my last year now. And it's something I'm dreading, is not having it anymore. Cause like I said, I've done it. I've been at contests, everything, marching band, every weekend of the fall of my entire life.
Wow.
Like, and it's going to be gone in, 2 months or whatever.
Yeah.
But I also knew that this is the right thing, to make that decision. And it was really hard. So I can't even imagine being, as successful and, gonna go on a tour with Metallica. And
ironically, I went to the show in Atlanta that tour was.
Yeah.
And I saw our replacement band, which is a band called Gojira. And again, for metal people, they'll be like, oh my God, so Gojira ended up filling our spot on that tour because we didn't do it. And I went over there and saw him in Atlanta, and I was watching him, and I'm not going to lie, a little piece of me was like, that could have been me.
That could have been me.
I could have been up there playing over all these people. But then it was like, but it's okay, and I had fun.
So how about each of us go around and kind of talk about a single musician or group that has influenced us in either the most or, in some way. Coker, you can go first.
So they're kind of an unofficial group, but like I would say the Rat Pack is who influenced me the most. So for those who don't know, that's, like I said, kind of an unofficial group. I don't think they ever released a song as the Rat Pack, but it's a group of guys in the 50s. It's Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, and Sammy Davis Jr. are the main three. And then occasionally they have some other folks come in and out. But they were all these crooners, jazz singers in Vegas in that era. And I think they're among they're definitely among the best of the jazz vocalists of all time. There's others like Ella Fitzgerald and Louis Armstrong who are a different scene, but these guys were really the cream of the crop, and they were so good. I think this is what influenced me the most from them at doing what I think is the essence of jazz, and that's really making the story happen with the music and with the off-the-cuff inventions that you make with jazz. And so around that time, this would have been when I was in high school. That's when I really started to sing seriously, I guess you'd say. And I would listen to them a lot, and I'd be like, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to be good at. And so that's what I did. Yeah, I worked on, just being able to do that same thing to not only tell that story well, but also just reach that level of vocal, I guess, perfection, maybe you'd say. Because that's the other thing they had, is they were all just amazing vocalists. When you're a jazz singer, you can kind of get away with having a weird voice that's not technically correct. But these guys, I mean, they had like the golden voices, and Sinatra, of course, because of that, since he had the largest career of any of them, he did kind of bridge into that, just more easy listening, just listen to the pretty singing kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, just the perfect balance of vocal perfection and storytelling through music. I love it. I still do, and I still listen to it all the time.
Yeah, I mean, again, Coker, man, me and you have a lot in common. Because, like, I feel like no one in our general, like, age group, like, in between our two ages, appreciate jazz at all.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just this... I talk about this a lot, and I'm not going to go on a rant, but the movie La La Land, the guy in the movie, his name is Seb, and he's always saying, like, people don't understand jazz. And that's like me as a person. Like, it just changed my whole life, basically. So, I love the Rat Pack. That's I should have picked that as mine in my head. But what I did think of was, like, big band style music, and for those of you that don't know, that's like you would call that a jazz band if you saw it, like a full jazz band. And the specific one that like really changed my life was Gordon Goodwin's Big Fat Band. I doubt either of y'all know what it is. I'm sure nobody besides my mom, hi mom, that's listening knows that I'm talking about, because they're famous in like super deep jazz world of like band people. But they just write the hardest freaking crazy music that you've ever heard. It is just insane, the talent that they have, the writing, just all of it. It blows my mind. And all of the people, if you've ever seen like literally any movie, all of those musicians also usually are in like symphony orchestras and stuff. Like every single one of them, the lead trombone, the lead trumpet, like... If you've seen not Mission Impossible. If you've seen The Incredibles, that's the band that did that. Like that's who did it. And the guy that wrote it is that guy, is Gordon Goodwin. So, it's just incredible and so hard, and it just made me appreciate music in a way that I didn't think was possible. And it also makes me look down on some other kinds of music, country. that I hate because I don't think it's as good. But it's okay. It's okay. If you like country, you do you, babe. So anyway, like I've said, it just changed my whole life when I heard that the first time. So
Yeah, so mine's probably going to be somewhat predictable, just based on, the band that I was in and everything. But
Hannah Montana.
yes, you guessed it. I will say this though, and I think that we can all agree with this, that at my core I'm a musician, and so I love and respect all music regardless. Even I don't love country. I don't, but
I'm sorry, country people.
I do respect it because that's who they are, and that's what they believe in, and that's how they believe that they can tell stories and connect with others. And so, I love and respect all music. With that said, I would say deep down, this is going to be almost like my Dumb and Dumber is my favorite movie. Like, I have to be honest and true to myself. Probably a band called Zayo neither one of you are going to know who the heck they are. Zayo is the band that when I listened to it, I was like, kind of like you, that's what I want to do. Mm-hmm. They're extreme, they're loud, they're crazy. But that was my first exposure to like heavy metal, hardcore music. Mm-hmm. And because of them, I started to listen to other styles of music like that, and then eventually got in a band and, got to do amazing things because of that style of music. I wanted to play just a little bit. So this is the song, the first time I heard it. It's like when your world changes, your eyes are opened, and I think this is the song. Let's listen. So good. I love it. All right, I was dancing to that a little bit. So that song, when I heard it, I was like, oh, what? What is this? What is happening right now? What is that guy doing with his voice? The drums are so like not what you would expect. Dun 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 dun. Instead of dun 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 dun, it's dun 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 dun.
I love that offbeat.
That little
stuff,
offbeat,
man.
And I'm young. I'm like 12 or 13 probably when I hear this. But after that, it was like, that's it. Those are my people, And they were for a really long time. And I mean, they still are. There was something recently called Sloss Fest, and Zayo played.
Oh, yeah.
I unfortunately did not get to go, but hoping that I can go next year. But yeah, like that, that's that kind of music is what I would go and listen to. Dude, like when you're that age, like things are dark and you're like depressed all the time because you're a boy who's from the ages of 13 to like 16, stuff is going on in your life and you're like, well, and like that music is what I would go and listen to when I'd get mad or angry or whatever, oh, I don't like my mom. Sorry, Mom. I do love you though.
Yeah, in this episode, you called your mom a terrible singer. I know it's probably all a joke, but we got to preface that you love your mom.
Oh, dude. Yeah, there will probably be a podcast with my mom in the future, and there will absolutely be a movie about my mom and my story. And so I think
it comes out tomorrow. No,
anyone that knows me knows how much I respect my mom. Yeah. So it's all just I'm joking around. But yeah, so that Zayo is probably the band that influenced me the most. But then there's other people like I know Coker. You're a huge Michael Bublé fan. He's not.
Yeah, not at all.
I just wanted to throw that out there. I love there's a band called Novo Amor, complete opposite end of the spectrum of Zayo. Freaking love it. One of my favorite groups right now. Copeland is a band that's like super soft and chill.
I was about to say, I thought you meant like Copeland is in like the composer. I was like, oh, I love Copeland, but that was
sure that too. Mozart, Bach.
Name one thing that Mozart wrote.
Yes.
I knew it. Yeah.
Beethoven. It took him a second. That's a joke from a very popular movie called oh my God, what's that movie called?
The one with the dog, Beethoven.
No. No.
The old
They
Ludwig
go in
van.
the telephone booth and they go back in time. Bill and Ted.
Oh.
You don't
Oh,
remember
yeah.
when they call him Beethoven?
No.
I don't remember that.
For a second, I thought you were going to say Doctor Who because
No.
he goes into phone.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was like, what?
No.
I was like,
No,
Dr.
they're
Who
they're
said-
introducing people when they go Beethoven.
Yeah, I got to give a shout out to two more things also. Like, not anything specific, but just concert music. I'm like one of the very few people my age that appreciate concert music. Gosh, love it so much. Like people like Bernstein, oh my gosh, changed my life. And also something else I really appreciate about what Coker you're in now, but like me and George talk about music all the time, especially when we're driving to shoots. And you introduced me to this band called Snarky Puppy.
Oh, incredible. See, that's
changed
yeah.
my life. That song, Lingus by Snarky Puppy,
Insane.
changed my life. I listened to it like every day for a month after that.
yeah.
That band is insane.
You're
and it's so
welcome.
different. I can't believe I didn't know. I know two people in that band, or like, so my dad does.
Got it.
And I can't believe I didn't know about it. And my dad was like, yeah, I actually almost took you to a concert, but then I didn't. I was like, what?
See, I do want to make it clear. I get really self-conscious about this because people think when you listen to metal and stuff that that's all you listen to.
No.
It's not. Dude, I love Snarky Puppy. They're incredible. I was in a reggae band. Like, I love reggae. Like, I love all music. So anyway.
Except for country.
No. I respect country music.
Yeah. You also love the Beatles, right?
Oh yeah, that was my
don't?
dad's favorite band.
Yeah.
Was the Beatles.
It's hard not to love the Beatles.
My son is becoming a drummer too. I'm really stoked because like it wasn't forced. I'm really happy about
That's
that.
like me too.
Yeah, like it just. I was like, hey, he's a natural drummer, but I'm not gonna push it, and he just kind of found it on his own. And so I'm like super stoked, and he's been playing "Come Together" a lot
Yeah.
by the Beatles, and so that's like a fun one on drums.
My dad sat me down when I got close to being the age where I'd start band, and he said, you don't have to join, like you never have to do anything, but I'm always here to like help if you want it.
Yeah.
And that was like the greatest thing because I was always worried, and I have friends that are also kids of band directors where were like forced to
Forced.
be the best.
Yeah.
And it just worked out that I ended up being decent at trombone and stuff. So.
I'm the dad that I didn't force it at all, but when he did it, I was like going in the closet like, yes! Oh, thank you, Jesus! He's a drummer! So what about you? What about
Yeah,
your
were
kids?
you forced?
What
Yeah.
about your kids, Coker?
All my kids. learn
But
their
yeah, but you
instruments.
weren't. It doesn't sound like you were forced into any sort of music at all, even though both your parents are musicians.
Nah, certainly not. They were always talking about when the time came signing me up for piano lessons, but yeah, it was definitely something I wanted to do anyway.
Yeah.
Like, just from watching my dad play, you just say, oh, I want to do that. And I actually never took, this surprises a lot of people, until I got to college, I never actually took formal private voice lessons of any kind. I just sung in choir at school and in plays.
Where did you go to college?
University of Alabama.
Roll Tide.
I knew that, but for the listeners. Did y'all know that I had a full music scholarship?
I can't believe you dropped
Wow.
out. It was for the band, right?
And I dropped out to go on that European tour.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, a full ride, buddy,
Yeah.
for singing, for voice.
I mean, if I got offered to direct a movie or something, I'd be like,
Yeah.
peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I had lost because I was gone for 35 days. It was a 35-day tour. There was like no way I could try.
Oh,
to
did
go
you not
back
even
and make
tell
it up.
them? You just like went
The
on the tour?
school?
Yeah.
No, I told them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But like I'm saying, because it wasn't they were like, if you're gone for like a week or two, we get it. But like 35 days, there's no way you're gonna make all that up.
Yeah.
Because I was like doing 17 hours a week or something. Like
Yeah.
that's full time, right? Isn't it?
12 hours is full time.
Yeah, so I think I was doing like 16 and a half, 17 hours a week or something. And then I was also working at UPS, and then I was also in a band. And so, yeah, it was
I mean,
just, there
that
was
makes
no
total
way.
sense. I mean, I work here, I work at UA, and I also have 17 hours of school. So,
Yeah.
like, I could not do that. So,
But if you left for 35 days, would you be able to recoup all the missed
No.
classes?
well, I mean, as much as I am a genius,
He really is a genius, y'all. He was on the dean's list.
Wow.
president's list.
President's list, same thing. I mean, it's not, but
Definitely not. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like,
I'm not a genius.
president's list is better, so.
I got to get that red cap Man, 4.0 graduation.
Heck yeah.
Anyway, I
Everyone
think
clap at Nick Golden. This has turned into a long podcast. We should probably go now.
okay. I mean, we do have to record another one.
Yeah.
Yikes.
We also have to write a song right now.
Oh, right now we're gonna do that. We'll do another episode.
Okay.
We're gonna write a song
Do you think us three could harmonize?
right now. Everybody,
know.
without talking about it, pick a note.
Dude, this is gonna be so good. All right, you ready? 3. Dude, I can't even do this.
Oh dear.
You gotta just sing
got
it.
it. I got
We're
a
just
note.
saying law, okay? 1.
Okay, right. I got it.
How in tune are we? How in sync are we together? Let's hold hands.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
I was gonna do it.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3. La. That wasn't bad, dude. Who was the bass? Are
That
you
was
the
pretty
bass?
bad. I think we picked the same note.
Me and you were like, law. Law. All right. This is what happens when. This is what like seed really looks like.
Yeah.
We don't get any work done.
I think we should start the podcast after an hour of us sitting here because that's when it gets.
That's
real.
when it gets good.
Yeah.
And then we're like, all right, gotta go.
Bye.
The next one.
And then
we
the next
did
one's like we're on drugs or something.
Yeah. I'm ready to go.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for checking out this podcast. If you like music, let us know. Or if you don't like music, let us know too.
We respect you, country music people.
Yeah,
I'm
we
sorry
do.
for what I said.
Yeah. Nick Golden is he's a hater, man. Just don't worry about it, country folks. I got your back. I grew up in Brookwood. So if anyone was
They
could
wear a cowboy
identify
hats
as a
there.
country person, I could.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you grow up in Brookwood?
No.
Have you ever been to Brookwood?
I went with you.
Yay! He did. Okay, I'll shut up now. All right. Check out other episodes. Goodbye.
Bye.
This podcast was produced by Nick Golden with executive producer George Edmondson, edited by Nick Golden and Gavin Manning. Be sure to subscribe, drop a like and a comment. Tune in every Monday for brand new podcast content, and we'll see you on the next one.